Hey guys, in this video, I'm gonna share with you just what my personal MMD lifestyle practices are. Now, this video is the second of two videos. The first video, I explained briefly just what MMD is and how I got into it. If you wanna know more about the science and benefits of MMD, as well as hear from other practitioners today, as well as learn about others from history who are famous who practiced MMD, make sure to check out ambilife.org. All right, so let's get down to it. For my personal MMD lifestyle expression, which MMD stands for Mirror Movement Development, I basically learned to do everything switch from what I did growing up. So from batting switch to throwing switch to kicking switch. I grew up right-handed, so now everything I do is with my left hand or left foot. Now, a lot of the stuff you've seen before, you've seen switch hitters in baseball, people throwing with their non-dominant hand, kicking with their non-dominant foot. So I won't get into stuff that you've pretty much already seen before, but I'm gonna show you some things that you might not have seen before that make up my particular expression of the MMD lifestyle. So for me, skateboarding is what I did the most of growing up. So skateboarding switch is what I do the most of today. I've been skateboarding exclusively switch for the last 15 years. And so I've actually reached a point where now I have to not skate too much quote unquote switch so as to not overcompensate. So I guess my switch stance is really no longer switch, since both either regular or goofy feel pretty much equal for me as far as pushing and standing go. Now, when I say skateboarding today, I refer to more longboarding, since that's what I do more than anything today. Although I grew up skating, street skating, and I still do a bit of street skating today, but not as much as longboarding. And the coolest thing with MMD skating that I've discovered, which for me, my MMD skateboarding, I actually call ambi-pedal longboarding. Ambi-pedal, ambi meaning both, and pedal meaning feet. I can go for a lot longer skating because I use both sides of my body to push and stand, so you can go a whole lot longer before the body actually fatigues. And today at 38 years old, I've actually been skating for 26 years. Any given weekend I can go and longboard around my city of Philadelphia for maybe 20 miles and really enjoy it, so that's been phenomenal. This has also allowed me to discover a variety of different methods for creatively skating, everything from more fluidly starting from a stop position to power pushing uphill to gradually slowing down on declines to different rotations and spins on Fibonacci sequence style turns in the middle of an intersection, and just in general having a whole lot more fun with skateboarding. So if you want to see the full video of this skating, you can actually click it in the video link below. Now, the next form of MMD that I absolutely love is rail walking. It's kind of like slacklining or tightrope walking, but done on rounded handrails. Now, I used to slackline, but once I discovered rail walking, I ended up just basically ditching the slackline altogether. I find rail walking the most pure form of MMD under the sun, because in order for your body to walk on a rounded rail, there's a fine straight line over the top of the center of a rounded rail that your body can't lie about as to where the exact center is. So you end up having to exercise equally both sides of your body in a micro and macro fashion in order to stay balanced on that rail. And because your muscles are doing this, it's pushing everything in your body towards the center, realigning it in the process and improving your balance. There's been many times I've gotten done walking a long rail and I felt like I just came from a chiropractor adjustment, but my body felt incredible. And because your muscles are doing this realignment for you, it stays in place longer, so giving you that lasting relief. And after walking rails now for nearly 2 years, I've since learned how to do rails backwards, do spins, do bigger rails. And so I'm really excited for the future of this, because when you get other practitioners into the sport, that stylistic progression will occur. So I'm excited to see just what urban rail walking will look like here in the future. And another note, I tend to do my best rail walking when I focus more on the movement of my hands than my actual feet on the rail. And I believe this has to do with because you have less distance between your fingertips to your brain than your feet to your brain, because any kind of movement that you make, it has to do with the brain receiving that command, which happens via blood flow and neural commands. So that's just one of my theories. And if you want to see some other rail walkers in action, check out the body movement expert Ido Portal in his documentary titled Just Move, where he gets his practitioners into some basic urban rail walking exercises. Now, the next MMD activity that I absolutely love is wall ball. And in this case, I call it ambi-ball because, as you can see, you're incorporating both sides of the body. Now, I never found wall ball any fun until incorporating the use of both arms, which allows you the opportunity to incorporate different movements that you can't do within just traditional single-sided wall ball. For example, I call these washing machines for the clockwise and counterclockwise spins that you can make similar to that of a washing machine. Now, these I call octopus throws because of the quick double use of both arms. And this variation I call parallels because of the parallel running you're doing along the wall while bouncing the balls. Now, this I call floor juggling because of the similar sensation to actual juggling, which is also part of my lifestyle routine, as you can see here, but I simply prefer the standard ambi-ball to this actual high throwing juggling. Now, the balls that I use in ambi-ball are lacrosse balls. They're great for fast, hard throws, but if you want to begin, I would strongly suggest using tennis balls because they're a bit softer, they're lighter, they're more forgiving. Now, if you want to see an MMD all-star athlete who is probably the best ambidextrous ball throwing athlete in the world, check out EBA Jeremy, who is captain of Team USA Beach Handball and known as the Handball Ninja. He's featured here in an interview on ambilife.org. Another MMD activity that I love is symmetric chalk art. You can do this on a cinder block wall, a red brick wall, even a flat wall, but I like anything that's gonna have a symmetric grid to it, like a symmetric brick wall, because that gives you a guide for what it is that you're gonna be drawing. Once you have your symmetrically gridded wall, you just pick your middle point and you start making your bilateral markings in mirrored motion, line by line. You can go top, bottom, symmetric too, or get funky with the variations. Now, what's funny is that other than a quote that I might do that's standard or some other standard markings that I might choose, I never know what my art piece is gonna look like towards the end. And just like the endless variations of bilateral creatures that exist on Earth, none of my art pieces have ever looked the same. Another easy, fun MMD activity to do at home is ping pong dancing. Really simple, just get yourself 2 ping pong paddles, put on some of your favorite rhythmic tunes and bounce along to the beat, switching between both hands on your tempo. So you're switching between your first, your second, your fourth, or your eighth beats. Now, part of my inspiration for this is seeing what Michael Lavery, the author of Whole Brain Power, can do with hammers and golf balls. And while his method is really impressive, I've never fallen quite in love with it as much as I have with ping pong dancing. Now, traditional yoga is one of the most popular and best forms of MMD under the sun. And while I know it's great for us and I really respect it, I've always found it a little boring. But as an average skateboarder who's dreamt of being able to be like some of the most mind-bending professionals on the planet, I do like to mess around with something, a form of MMD that I call skate yoga. And of course, it's fun incorporating flip tricks and variations into the routine, but just be careful, make sure that the board does not fall down on your face. Since I grew up having to handwrite in school, I work to make a daily practice of doing mirrored journaling. Now, writing mirrored is how Da Vinci wrote in all of his personal notebooks. He wrote left-handed mirrored in his personal notebooks, and then wrote right-handed traditional whenever he had to write anything for someone else to see publicly. And I'm convinced Da Vinci did this to better balance out his brain and body. Handwriting, when done well, is one of the most cerebral, micromuscular, neurophysical activities that you can do, which is why if you can write well in mirrored, non-dominant script, you can more confidently tackle any other MMD activities. In fact, advanced MMD practitioners like Michael Lavery, Catherine Coe, and Diego Irigoyen believe that non-dominant handwriting is one of the most important MMD activities. In line with mirrored writing is mirrored reading. Now, mirrored reading is one of the trippiest MMD activities you can do since it's practiced the least, considering there's next to nothing that is publicly printed in mirrored script. Dr. Sheila Robinson, a psychologist and professor from Dawson College in Montreal, Canada, created mirrorread.com. And on there's an app and a web browser tool that you can get that will easily mirror whatever it is that's on your screen to allow you to practice mirror reading. The app is unfortunately not available yet for Android users like me, so some nights I like to read from my cell phone in mirror while dozing off to sleep using an actual mirror. So what I'll first do is I'll invert the cell phone colors on my screen to avoid straining my eyes, making it as dark as possible. Then I'll place the phone on my chin and chest using a small handheld mirror to read the screen, which works pretty nice. I even practice visually mirror typing using the mirrorread.com web browser tool and inkpadnotepad.com. Even though the editing and navigation features can be a bit glitchy on the mirrored side, you can still use both of those tools to practice visually mirrored typing. As a blogger, you can also do the same with WordPress, which is nice because with WordPress, it'll actually point out your misspellings, which you'll make a lot of since you're learning to visually mirror type. Now, I stress that this is just the visual aspect of mirror typing, not the actual physical aspect of mirror typing, because there does not yet exist a way to MMD type, because there is not yet a mirrored keyboard or mirrored texting keypad available anywhere on planet Earth. So we still do have room for improvement as a species for better working to balance out our brains and bodies. These next activities I'll share with you that are part of my lifestyle, I consider more cousins of MMD because you're not practicing actual mirrored movement, but you are modifying your standard experience of spatial awareness, which is a direct byproduct of the long-term MMD lifestyle. The first of these MMD cousins is the inversion. You can be as creative as you like with how you get upside down, from buying gravity boots or an at-home inversion table where you get strapped in and get flipped upside down. But I find the easiest and funnest way is to just go to your local park and get upside down on some monkey bars. There's something cosmically blissful about just hanging upside down and looking at the ground or at a tree or hill in the distance or up into the early evening dusk sky. There's just something religious about it, focusing on your breaths and seeing just how long reasonably you can hang upside down for. Inversions can also be a great technique for relaxing your shoulders, especially if you can do it with a pair of gravity boots. Just hang upside down, hold onto the bar, and allow the weight of your body to pull your shoulders down. So naturally relaxed posture that will allow you to perform a lot of other activities better. In fact, even some of the best street skateboarding I've ever done in my life was after making a lifestyle habit of hanging upside down and allowing that weight to just pull my shoulders down into that relaxed state. I also like doing my inversions into something I call Fibonacci Flips, which come from the rotational sequence that reminds me of the pi ratioed shape a seashell makes. The last grab you see me jumping into here takes all the compression out of what my back would be negatively feeling, which is something you can sort of feel leaving your body, going down out the legs and out through the feet in this motion. Another great inversion that's an even better workout are handstands, and you can practice against the wall. Pay attention to how your body reacts towards where you place your gaze, whether that is onto the ground, onto the wall opposite you, or quote unquote upside down onto the ceiling. It helps doing your handstands on a flat tiled floor so you can easily tell just how far apart your hands are placed from the center, as well as just how equal they're placed laterally. And then after some practice, you can take your stationary handstands into handstand walking and focusing on mirroring the movement positioning of your hands while you're walking, making sure to exhale between every third step while you're walking. For some inspiration and to see what's possible in the visually stunning world of stationary handstand inversions, check out the professional hand balancer Miguel Santana at Miguel Hand Balance. One of the most admired, craziest, and frankly oldest professional big wave surfers in the world, Laird Hamilton, is a firm believer in inversions. He aims to spend nearly 20 minutes a day hanging upside down. Another inversion side note, Leonardo da Vinci was the very first person who realized that the human eyeball is a camera obscura that inverts the image of whatever it is you see before your brain later reverts that image and shows it to you, quote unquote, normal. While I've practiced only very little mirrored inverted writing in some of my chalk art, my fellow MMD practitioner Diego Irigoyen is a modern Da Vinci when it comes to his ability to write in traditional mirrored and inverted script. You can see his work on Instagram at DN_dualpen. And as a side note, just to set the record straight on the nature versus nurture perception of ambidexterity, something of which exists on a spectrum, my fellow MMD practitioners, EBA Jeremy, Michael Avery, Catherine Coe, Diego Irigoyen, and myself, we all grew up, quote unquote, right-handed before later switching over to the MMD lifestyle later in life, mostly while in our 20s. In addition to inversions, another quote-unquote cousin of MMD is the reversal. One easy reversal to do is backwards walking. Backwards walking can actually work out different muscles, help with posture, expand spatial awareness, and even just be a fun parlor trick when doing randomly while walking across the street. Of course, with walking backwards, the major concern is not tripping over or colliding with anything. And the easiest way to prevent this is to practice while walking alongside a friend who's walking in the normal direction, who can just watch out for anything that might be in your way. Now, it's of course walking backwards by yourself that adds that extra exercise of spatial awareness. When walking solo, you want to alternate your look backs on odd numbered steps, exhaling with each turn, whether that's on your 3rd, 5th, 7th, or even 9th step. Walking with a water bottle can help you keep track of which side you're turning on, acting as a sort of mental anchor. It can also help with subtle rehabilitation of one weaker side over the other, and the heavier the water bottle, the more readjustment you'll feel over a longer walk. You can focus the weight of the water bottle more on your forward swing or your backward swing as you're walking, which adds up over time, especially on longer walks. And I'll also use this water bottle anchor weight method when longboarding. The water bottle helps me easily remember what side I'm switching to between my stances and pushes, ensuring that I stay more balanced in repetitions throughout a long ride. It also helps me bring a little more power into my pushes by incorporating my arm muscles into the workout. Front packing is another reversal element I incorporate into my lifestyle. I spent so many years carrying a backpack that my pelvis doesn't really feel too great continuing to do so, but with front packing, I can walk or skate for so much longer, and I actually feel my posture improving as a result. Front packing also greatly increases my confidence when long distance longboarding around the city, because with the front pack, in addition to my helmet and padded gloves, this adds as protection in case I ever fall forward. And the front pack, it just makes it a lot easier too while I'm walking or skating. If I have to get anything out of the pack, I can just pull it out of the front. It makes it simple. Two things to be careful of when front packing is one, watching your breaths and the amount of time that the weight is placed on front of you. Because your chest, your stomach, your organs, they shouldn't have hard and heavy weight on them for too long. And you also want to make sure that you're taking regular deep breaths, because the weight of the front pack can minimize the typical expansion of your chest and stomach, making during regular inhales. Other random spatial awareness activities I now currently do include orange peel shaping, symmetric photography, Jenga X towers, and symmetric quote-unquote restaurant art that is simply mirror placing everything from my meal on the table once finished. As you've heard me talk about my MMD lifestyle, it might have dawned on you that you already practice one or more forms of MMD. In fact, you know how people say, my body feels incredible after practicing yoga. This shouldn't surprise us because yoga is one of the best and most popular forms of MMD. Yoga does every movement on both sides of the body and is conscious of proper breathing and exhaling. Other popular forms of MMD include cycling, swimming, running, and walking, all of which come up again and again as activities associated with longevity. When performing these activities, it's important that your exhales are equal between both sides using odd-ended exhales, whether that's on your 3rd, 5th, 7th, or 9th step, pedal, or stroke. And also, it's important to remember that when running upstairs or jumping over obstacles, to always lead from your non-dominant side. Because of all this fun general lifestyle activity that MMD brings me throughout the week, I have no need to go to a traditional gym since MMD burns a higher amount of calories because you're focusing on developing your non-dominant muscles. Laird Hamilton from a 2018 Guardian article said, activities are better than the gym because you're not looking at the clock. You'll do more reps in nature than you'll ever do in the gym. You'll go for hours and hours and you'll be thinking healthy thoughts, not about how old you are. In this case, I see Laird's nature as being wherever your quote-unquote playground is, which for me, it's definitely in the urban environment. To follow anything I'm doing in my MMD practices, search the hashtag #ThisIsMMD on social media and follow ambilife.org for updates and opportunities to connect with others in the MMD community. Thanks for watching.